Failure to give thanks to God gives way to pride. Thank you for avoiding that sin, Luwero Secondary School today. And I congratulate you for organizing this Thanksgiving ceremony. Throughout the Bible, God calls upon his people to a time of solemn thanksgiving. This means that at times, thanksgiving can be an obligation. At times, thanksgiving can be out of the heart, free will. At times, it can be by admonition. And blessed are those who, this is not a beatitude, but I'm just borrowing the words to say thanks to those who give thanks to God out of their hearts, when they are not told to do it. And one of the examples from the Old Testament, right from the beginning, is that of Abraham. Abraham one time heard that his brother Lot had been captured. In or around Sodom and Gomorrah were small kingdoms, and those kingdoms came together and they raided Abraham's kingdom, the kingdom where Abraham was, and they took captives. They took as captives all they could get on, Abraham's brother inclusive. And when news went to Abraham that his brother had been captured, he organized a small army of around 300 men, fighters, and pursued the enemy. God blessed him, for he conquered the enemy and brought back his brother alive and kicking. One of the kings, the nearby kings, came to congratulate him. And among the others who came was a priest of the Most High God. Actually, he was a king as well as a priest of the Most High God by the name of Melchizedek. Abraham respected the priest of God, and he offered a thanksgiving offering in the form of a tithe. They say that's the origin of the tithe in the Old Testament. And the reference is Genesis chapter 14. So we can say it was Abraham who initiated the idea of giving thanks to God out of the heart, not as an obligation. And when we move on in Exodus, we can think of Moses. Moses, who led the Israelites out of Egypt in slavery. And when they crossed the Red Sea miraculously and witnessed the destruction of the army that was pursuing them, and when they were at the other side, they gave thanks to God. They remembered to say, "Thank you, Lord God, for it's you, it's not by the staff that Moses had in his hand that they were able to cross over. It was by God's grace." and they gave thanks to God for that. So they also avoided the sin of pride. He who gives thanks to God escapes from that sin, the sin of pride. There is also another example, the example of Solomon the king. When King Solomon dedicated the temple in Jerusalem, they were to give thanks. And the reference is 1 Kings 8:6-2 following, and also 1 Chronicles 8:12 following. When they dedicated the temple, they had to give thanks. But before that, his dad, his father, David, also the king, when King David gathered the materials for the temple, according to 1 Chronicles 29:10 following, he made a very big ceremony like this one of saying thank you to God. For it had been his dream to have a temple, a magnificent temple, built in honor of his God, who had called him out of the bush, as we can remember, and made him a king of a great nation of Israel. So, but as we can remember, God had prevented him from fulfilling his dream himself. He said, it will be your son, Solomon, who will do it in your place, because you have a lot of blood on your hands. Abalina ebisaayi ku ngalo zaabwe basubwa ebirooto byabwe okutuukirira. Nolwekyo bw'oba oli wano ng'omanyi nti olina omusaayi ku ngalo zo, teweebuuza lwaki ebirooto byo ebimu bikyaganya okutuukirira. And then when King Solomon, through the grace of God, it was King Solomon who made his father's dream come to pass. And when it happened, there was a great deal of rejoicing and celebration and thanksgiving to God. There is also another example. When under Nehemiah, they rebuilt the broken walls of the city, they again were called upon to express thanks to God. And the reference is Nehemiah 12:27-43. Ebisenge bya Yerusalemu bwe byazimbibwa under the calling of Nehemiah, there was great celebration and thanksgiving to God. Quite a number of times in the Psalms, the psalmist speaks of giving thanks. He says, be thankful unto the Lord and bless his name. You can also refer to the only psalm among the 150 psalms that has the title, a psalm of thanksgiving. That is Psalm 100. It is the only psalm among all the psalms with that title, a psalm of thanksgiving. When you look at verse 4, you can see a call to us to give thanks to the Lord. Mumwebaze mukuze erinnya lye. And again, the psalmist says, it is a good thing to give thanks to the Lord. In the New Testament, Jesus taught us to give thanks as he gave thanks and broke the loaves and the fish to feed the multitude. John 6:11. The miracle of feeding a great multitude was preceded by Jesus' saying thank you to his dad. And I wonder what would have happened if he had not done that, given thanks first. He thanked God again when he broke the bread of communion for the disciples on the night he was betrayed. Mark 14:22 and 23. And they are soon reminding us of that on the night that he was betrayed, he took bread and he gave thanks. He was very good at giving thanks. So he's our role model to emulate. At the grave of Lazarus, he said, "Father, I thank thee." You remember? When he came, when Lazarus had spent 4 days in the grave, and they even didn't want him to go near, because they believed there was already a terrible stench. But he insisted, remove the stone. And when they obeyed and removed the stone, he first gave thanks to God before saying, "Lazarus, come out." And in the epistles, Paul also emphasized thanksgiving when he said, "With thanksgiving, let your requests be known unto God." I hope we are attentive as the reading of the epistle was being administered. He said, "With thanksgiving, let your requests be known unto God." At this thanksgiving,